I tested 1,142 subject lines in 2025, and here are the results. It's not what you think. And before anyone gets cute, no, this isn't your 2025 Pornhub recap is here type deal. That stuff works. It's quite funny. I've gotten these cold emails and I did take a look at them, but it works, but not for the people that you want it to work on, right? Like if you're selling something friendly to creators, small businesses, or consumer adjacent offers, that sort of stuff works. But I'm here to talk about business. I'm here to talk about enterprise buyers. I'm here to talk about actual money, actual people that have money that want to buy from you. If you send these emails to these prospects, they're going to think you're an idiot. So enterprise buyers, they don't click because they're entertained. They click because something feels relevant and internal. And let me show you what does. The paradigm shift. Subject lines are not the lever. Let's get this out of the way. Subject lines are not to drive results. They don't book calls. They don't say bad campaigns. They're just a filter, not a converter. It's just something mysterious to get them to open up the email, right? That's their job. If your copy sucks, the subject line is not going to save it. If your list sucks, the subject line is not going to save it. If your offer is too generic enough, the subject line is not going to save it. If your infrastructure sucks, it's not going to help. The truth is the subject line only decides whether the email gets opened or not. Everything else decides whether you get a reply. But perhaps this is the most important part, because if your email doesn't get opened in the first place, everything else that you spent all that time, all that money on, it's just going to be a waste. So just make sure you understand this clear distinction. All right, so why we tested this money? Well, 1,142 specifically. And why did we track it? Well, because I track everything, right? Because the internet won't shut up about them. Quick question, thoughts, first name, important. Everyone has an opinion. Few have data. So we tested them all at scale across the industries, across Google, Outlook, across cold traffic, primarily, obviously. Not open rates, not screenshots, just the replies. What we expected and what actually happened. We expected clear winners, magic formats, one subject to rule them all. And by the way, this is really, really difficult to track, right? Like it's very hard to track this sort of stuff, but you know, running the same list, same campaign, just changing this one variable gives you like a slight bit of idea on how you can track it. So, you know, obviously just take this with a pinch of salt, but you know, this is the data we could scrape up, and this is what we conducted off that. So there's no like one magic, obviously, type subject line that's going to win them all. So there's no unicorn in there. The variance between top and average subjects are smaller than what you think. In most cases, bad campaigns stayed bad, good campaigns stayed good. The subject line barely moved the needle. So that's what I mean. A real job of a subject line, it has one job, is to get them curious enough to open up your email. And if that's not what it's doing, rewrite it. All it needs to do is just sound convincing enough to open. And how you can do it, for especially in this industry, is make sure it just sounds like it's coming from a colleague, it's coming from a friend. That's the whole point. Don't sell, don't persuade, and especially do not explain, because if you explain there, they're gonna judge it prematurely without the full context, and they're gonna reject it. Most likely. What actually killed the subject line performance? After 1,142 tests, the worst performance had the same traits. Sounded like marketing, sounded automated, sounded urgent or salesy, used emojis or any kind of symbols. Yes, we tried those as well. Used free trial, guarantee, again, sounds marketing. Looked like a newspaper, looked like templates. Even when opens were decent, replies sucked. Inbox providers are smarter, prospects are colder. Anything that smells like marketing gets treated like marketing. What consistently worked? Well, boring but true. And this is the part that you've been waiting for. We're probably like 5 minutes into the video, so congratulations for the people that have made it. I'm about to reveal the big reason for the video, and this is no shock to most people, I hope. Categories that won: name only, lowercase phrases. Why? Because it sounds like, you know, your friend or your colleague is writing to you, because it seems informal. Internal looking subject lines, right? Like incomplete thoughts, contextual references. Let me show you what these are. Quick question, quick cue, idea, first name, saw this, ops questions, hiring, right? Like these, like if I see this and then I see the first line of the email sounding like, oh, interesting, what is this? I'm going to click that email. I'm going to read that email. I And if the email is good enough, if your offer is good enough, you've done your job, you're going to get a book call, you're going to close that deal, right? That's simple as that. If your subject line sucks, everything else is going to crumble, because if they don't open your email, you're not going to have sales calls. So the smallest thing, and that's why I'm making a whole video about this, if the smallest factor fails, everything else underneath just collapses. These didn't spike the open rates dramatically, they just didn't hurt performance, right? Like they performed as expected, I should say. And that's the key. The biggest insight in these subject lines is don't scale. The biggest insight, and I've told you this before, the subject lines, they don't scale the results. They just sort of make it as they should be. Because if your list is good, copy is good, your offer is good, everything, the infrastructure is good, they're going to perform as they should be. If your subject lines are shit, it's going to make everything bad. And you're going to be thinking like, my lists are good, my inboxes are good, everything looks good. Why is people not opening my stuff? Like, why am I not getting the results I should be, right? Like, hope that makes sense. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot subject line your way to 6 to 10% replies. So just like I said, we saw campaigns with average subject lines, highest reply rates, and campaigns with perfect subject lines, terrible response rates, right? Because like I said, it's all about the list, the segmentation, the angle, the timing, the offer, everything else. The subject line is there to get them to open the email. Everything else, the replies, come after the fact. So meaning your list, your angle, your offer. Subject line is just downstream. It's a multiplier, again, not the foundation itself. So when subject lines do matter, there are only a few cases subject lines move the number. They matter when the lists are good, your copy is relevant, your angle resonates, you're splitting hairs at scale. At that level, subject lines can add or subtract a small percentage. Not miracles, but like I said, they're gonna perform. If you have a good subject line, everything else is gonna perform as it should be. If you have a bad subject line, everything else is going to perform as it shouldn't, right? The operator rule for subject lines. So if the subject line doesn't trigger spam, doesn't scream marketing, doesn't look automated, it's good enough, right? Spend your energy elsewhere. Don't overthink it. Don't complicate it. Focus on the other stuff I showed you. And how we test it is just when we do a test, just simply structure this. One variable only, same list, same copy, same offer, same sentence. Minimum 1K, or maybe if you want to do lower, 500 cents is fine. Anything else is not going to be clear. It's not going to give you a clear result. The top 5 subject lines rules we use today. So just to recap everything we said, lowercase beats title case, short beats clever, boring beats salesy, familiar beats creative, and invisible beats impressive. So if it looks like something you'd send internally, that's it, you win. That's all a subject line needs to be, right? Like it needs to look internal, and that's it. What to focus on instead? So if you want a high reply rate, focus here. Lists, angles, pain points, better offer, more proof, cleaner CTA, follow-ups, right? Like subject lines are the 5% and everything else is 9%. But that's the thing, like I said, so first 5% could crumble everything else. So if your subject line is good, everything else is going to perform as it should. If it's bad, everything else is going to fumble. So the final take here is, after testing 1,142 subject lines to find a hack, there's no hack. We tested them all to kill, the myth, the legends. Subject lines don't make campaigns work. They just don't break the good ones. If your campaign isn't converting, stop rewriting subject lines and then just fix everything else. That's how you can win as well. Not with clever words, but with leverage itself. And that's why I made a whole video on this, because I think it's important enough to discuss. And that's the video. Now you understand what you need to do with subject lines, and maybe you can stop blaming subject lines for your issues and go back and fix the underlying stuff behind them. All right, that's it, and I'll see you in the next ones. Cheers.